the way the country is right now, I would only hope that this film does catch on, has a wide audience, and does well, not only critically but as well as box office.
Before streaming, before red carpets, and long before Hollywood acknowledged them, Native American stars were already breaking barriers. These were the legends who carried entire stories on their shoulders, whether in silence, song, or defiance. From Olympic podiums to silver screens, they didn't just perform. They persevered. They were warriors, artists, visionaries, and often forgotten. Today, we shine a light on the trailblazers of the golden era. The 20 most iconic Native American stars who forever changed film, music, and sports. Their names may not all be famous, but their legacies are unforgettable. Jim Thorpe, the world's greatest athlete. Long before the bright lights of Hollywood, a young boy named Watho Huck, meaning bright path, was born on the Sac and Fox Nation lands of Oklahoma. That boy would grow into Jim Thorpe, the man many still call the greatest athlete who ever lived. Raised with a deep connection to his native roots, he would rise from hardship to international stardom. Thorpe's path to greatness wasn't paved. It was carved out with determination and raw, unmatched talent. In 1912, at the Stockholm Olympics, Jim Thorpe stunned the world. He won gold medals in both the pentathlon and decathlon, events that tested the limits of human strength, skill, and endurance. King Gustav of Sweden famously shook his hand and said, "You, sir, are the greatest athlete in the world." But his medals were later stripped due to his prior participation in semi-professional baseball, an unjust decision that haunted his legacy for decades. Outside the Olympics, Thorpe was a star in American football, baseball, and basketball. He played professional baseball with the New York Giants and later became the first president of what would become the NFL. Yet, despite all his accomplishments, Thorpe faced relentless racial discrimination. His image was exploited, his earnings mishandled, and his name nearly forgotten by mainstream history, until recent years. In 2022, justice was partially restored when the International Olympic Committee reinstated him as the sole winner of the 1912 events. 2 years later, in 2024, the U.S. posthumously awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thorpe wasn't just an athlete, he was a symbol of indigenous strength, endurance, and resilience in a country that often tried to silence it. Jim Thorpe was the greatest athlete that ever lived. Bill Corum, sports writer. From the thundering roar of stadiums to the silent power of cinema, Native American excellence would soon break into new territory. As the 1970s arrived, Hollywood was about to be challenged by a quiet, towering figure who didn't need many words to leave an unforgettable mark. His name was Will Sampson, and his silence would speak volumes. Will Sampson, the silent force in Cuckoo's Nest. Will Sampson didn't dream of Hollywood. Born in 1933 in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, and raised in the Muskogee Creek Nation, Sampson first found his calling in the rodeo and on the canvas. As a skilled painter and rodeo cowboy, his life was filled with native tradition, artistry, and grit. Acting came by chance, but it changed everything. His breakthrough came in 1975 when he was cast as Chief Bromden in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The role, originally written with minimal lines, became unforgettable through Sampson's commanding silence and intense expression. Standing 6'7" tall, he brought quiet dignity to a character that Hollywood might have reduced to a stereotype. Instead, Sampson gave him soul. His presence was a powerful rebuttal to the flat, offensive portrayals of Native people that had dominated the screen for decades. But Sampson wasn't content with just his own success. He became a fierce advocate for Native actors. He co-founded the American Indian Registry for the Performing Arts to ensure indigenous performers had opportunities and support in a system that often excluded them. Off-screen, he also painted murals, worked with tribal youth, and stayed grounded in his culture. Will Sampson died in 1987 at just 53 years old, but his legacy is everlasting. He's remembered not only as an actor, but as a quiet warrior for Native dignity and creative integrity. His life reminds us that sometimes strength isn't about how loudly you speak, but how deeply you are heard. I wanted to show that Native Americans could play any role, not just the ones Hollywood assigned to us. Will Sampson. While Will Sampson used silence to shift stereotypes, another man used his voice and his face to become a household name. Up next is a Mohawk actor who wore a mask of mystery in one of TV's most iconic westerns. His name? Jay Silverheels, and his legacy as Tonto is more complicated than you might remember. Jay Silverheels, Tonto's legacy. Born on the 6th, Nations Reserve in Ontario. In 1912, Jay Silverheels, whose real name was Harold J. Smith, didn't start off chasing fame. He was a gifted athlete, especially in lacrosse, and his physical skills caught the attention of Hollywood scouts. In the golden era of westerns, he became one of the first Native actors to regularly appear in film and television. But it was one role that made him a star: Tonto in The Lone Ranger. From 1949 to 1957, Silverheels played the faithful sidekick to the masked hero, becoming the most visible Native character on American television. For many viewers, he was the first Indigenous person they'd ever seen in a recurring role. But fame came with a cost. The character of Tonto, while groundbreaking in visibility, was often criticized for being stereotypical, one-dimensional, and submissive. Silverheels knew the limitations of the role, but he also knew the power of simply being there. Behind the scenes, he worked to change things. He co-founded the Indian Actors Workshop in Los Angeles, a training ground for Indigenous performers who wanted more than background roles or generic chief parts. He was vocal about Native rights and representation, even as he kept returning to sets that didn't always reflect his values. Jay Silverheels passed away in 1980, but his impact didn't die with him. He opened a door that others would walk through, even if it wasn't fully open yet. He showed that a Native actor could have a name, a face, and a fan base, even if the scripts needed work. I am proud of my heritage, and I want to see my people represented with dignity. Jay Silverheels. From the sports fields of Sweden to the studios of Hollywood, these three trailblazers rewrote what it meant to be Native and famous. But our journey into Native American stardom is just beginning. In the next chapter, we meet a man who shed a tear on camera and sparked a national movement. His name was Iron Eyes Cody. Iron Eyes Cody, the man who wore the mask. Iron Eyes Cody was born Espera Oscar de Corti in 1904 in Kaplan, Louisiana, to Sicilian parents. Despite his Italian heritage, he reinvented himself as a Native American, claiming Cherokee and Cree ancestry. He adopted the persona so completely that he wore traditional Native attire in his daily life and insisted on his Indigenous identity until his death in 1999. Cody appeared in over 200 films, often portraying Native American characters. His most iconic role was in the 1971 Keep America Beautiful public service announcement, where he shed a single tear over pollution. The ad became a cultural touchstone, raising environmental awareness nationwide. However, Cody's true heritage was revealed in 1996 when his half-sister confirmed his Italian ancestry. Despite the revelation, Cody continued to identify as Native American, stating, "Make me ready to stand before you with clean and straight eyes." Cody's legacy is complex. While he brought Native American issues to the forefront, his appropriation of Indigenous identity has been criticized. The National Congress of American Indians retired the Crying Indian ad in 2023, acknowledging its perpetuation of stereotypes. People start pollution. People can stop it. Keep America beautiful. PSA. From a man who adopted a native identity to one who was born into it, our next story features a true indigenous leader. Chief Dan George used his voice and presence to challenge stereotypes and advocate for his people, leaving an indelible mark on both cinema and society. Chief Dan George, the voice of a nation, born Geswanuth Slahut in 1899 on the Burrard Indian Reserve in British Columbia, Chief Dan George was a member of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. He served as chief from 1951 to 1963 and became a respected actor, poet, and activist. George's acting career began in his 60s, with his breakthrough role as Old Lodge Skins in Little Big Man, 1970, earning him an Academy Award nomination. He continued to portray wise, dignified native characters in films like The Outlaw Josie Wales and Harry and Tonto. Beyond acting, George was a powerful advocate for Indigenous rights. His 1967 speech, A Lament for Confederation, delivered on Canada's centennial, highlighted the struggles of Native peoples and called for recognition and justice. George's poetry collections, My Heart Soars and My Spirit Soars, reflect his deep connection to nature and his people's traditions. He passed away in 1981, leaving a legacy of cultural pride and advocacy. The time will soon be here when my grandchild will long for the cry of a loon, but he will not make friends with any of these creatures. Chief Dan George. As Chief Dan George used his words to inspire change, another Native actor used his performances to captivate audiences worldwide. Graham Greene's compelling portrayals have brought depth and authenticity to Indigenous characters in modern cinema. Graham Greene, the modern storyteller. Graham Greene, born in 1952 on the Six Nations Reserve in Ontario, Canada, is a member of the Oneida Nation. He began his acting career in the 1970s, gaining prominence with his role as Kicking Bird in Dances with Wolves, 1990, which earned him an Academy Award nomination. Greene's versatility has led to roles in films like Thunderheart, The Green Mile, and Wind River. He has also appeared in television series and stage productions, showcasing his range as an actor. Beyond acting, Greene is known for his advocacy for Indigenous representation in media. He has spoken about the importance of portraying Native characters with complexity and authenticity, challenging Hollywood stereotypes. Greene continues to be a prominent figure in the entertainment industry, using his platform to highlight Indigenous stories and perspectives. His contributions have paved the way for future generations of Native actors. My people are very funny. Graham Greene. From the early days of cinema to contemporary film, these Native American stars have shaped the portrayal of Indigenous peoples on screen. Their legacies continue to influence and inspire, reminding us of the rich cultural heritage and resilience of Native communities. Wes Studi, the warrior who spoke truth. Wes Studi, born in 1947 in No Fire Hollow, Oklahoma, is a proud member of the Cherokee Nation. Before his acting career, Studi served in the Vietnam War and later became involved in Native American activism, participating in the Wounded Knee incident in 1973. His experiences shaped his commitment to authentic representation of Indigenous peoples in media. Studi's breakthrough role came in 1990 with Dances with Wolves, where he portrayed a fierce Pawnee warrior. He continued to captivate audiences with performances in The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, as Magua and Geronimo, an American Legend, 1993, in the title role. His portrayals brought depth and complexity to Native American characters, challenging Hollywood stereotypes. In 2019, Studi made history by becoming the first Native American actor to receive an Academy Honorary Award, recognizing his lifetime achievements and contributions to cinema. His acceptance speech highlighted the importance of Indigenous representation in film. Beyond acting, Studi is dedicated to preserving the Cherokee language and culture. He has taught the Cherokee syllabary and worked with the Indigenous Language Institute to promote language revitalization. Study's commitment to his heritage continues to inspire future generations. I'd simply like to say, it's about time. Wes Studi, upon receiving his Academy Honorary Award from the silver screen to the stage, our next icon used her voice to challenge injustice and inspire change. Buffy Sainte-Marie, a trailblazing singer-songwriter, combined music and activism to advocate for Indigenous rights and environmental causes. Buffy Sainte-Marie, the voice of resistance. Buffy Sainte-Marie, born in 1941, is a singer-songwriter, educator, and activist of Cree heritage. Raised in Massachusetts, she discovered her musical talent early on and began performing in the folk music scene of the 1960s. Her songs often addressed issues of war, Indigenous rights, and social justice. Her debut album, It's My Way, 1964, featured the anti-war anthem Universal Soldier, which became a hit and solidified her place in the protest music movement. Sainte-Marie's powerful lyrics and unique voice brought attention to Indigenous struggles and challenged mainstream narratives. In 1983, she became the first Indigenous person to win an Academy Award for co-writing Up Where We Belong, featured in the film An Officer and a Gentleman. Despite her success, Sainte-Marie faced blacklisting in the United States due to her activism, limiting her exposure on American radio and television. Sainte-Marie continued to use her platform to advocate for Indigenous education and cultural preservation. She founded the Cradleboard Teaching Project, aimed at improving Native American education. Her work has inspired countless artists and activists to use their voices for change. The only thing that's been a worse influence on the world than colonialism is silence. Buffy Sainte-Marie. While Buffy Sainte-Marie sang for justice, another artist used both music and acting to tell the stories of his people. Floyd Red Crow Westerman, a Sisseton Dakota musician and actor, brought Indigenous issues to the forefront through his performances and activism. Floyd Red Crow Westerman, the storyteller. Floyd. Red Crow Westerman, born in 1936 on the Lake Traverse Indian Reservation in South Dakota, was a Sisseton Dakota musician, actor, and activist. He began his career as a country music singer, using his songs to address Native American issues and advocate for Indigenous rights. Westerman transitioned into acting later in life, often portraying Native American elders and leaders. His notable roles include 10 Bears in Dances with Wolves, 1990, and Albert Hosteen in The X-Files, 1993 to 1999. Through his performances, he brought authenticity and depth to Indigenous characters. Beyond his artistic endeavors, Westerman was a passionate activist. He participated in the American Indian movement and worked to raise awareness about environmental issues and Indigenous rights. His advocacy extended to international platforms where he spoke on behalf of Native peoples. Westerman passed away in 2007, leaving behind a legacy of cultural preservation and activism. His contributions to music, film, and social justice continue to inspire and educate future generations. We are the caretakers of the earth, and we must protect it for future generations. Floyd Red Crow Westerman. As we reflect on the powerful voices of Wes Studi, Buffy Sainte-Marie, and Floyd Red Crow Westerman, we see a tapestry of resilience and advocacy. Their stories paved the way for the next generation of Native American artists who continue to break barriers and share their heritage with the world. Adam Beach, From Tragedy to Triumph. Adam Beach, born on November 11, 1972, in Ashern, Manitoba, is a Canadian actor of Saulteaux descent. Raised on the Dog Creek First Nations Reserve, Beach faced immense personal tragedy early in life. At the age of 8, he lost both parents, his mother in a car accident and his father shortly after. These events profoundly impacted him, but he found solace in acting, which became a therapeutic outlet. Beach's breakthrough role came in 1998 with the film Smoke Signals, where he portrayed Victor Joseph. The film was groundbreaking, being the first feature-length film written, directed, and produced by Native Americans. His performance garnered critical acclaim and opened doors for more prominent roles. He continued to build his career with notable performances in Wind Talkers, 2002, Flags of Our Fathers, 2006, and Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, 2007. Beach's portrayal of real-life figures, such as Ira Hayes, showcased his ability to bring depth and humanity to complex characters. Beyond acting, Beach is an advocate for Indigenous representation in media. He has spoken about the importance of authentic storytelling and the need for more Indigenous voices in the film industry. His journey from personal loss to professional success serves as an inspiration to many. I want to be able to tell stories that reflect who we are as Indigenous people. Adam Beach. From the resilience of Adam Beach, we turn to another trailblazer who has dedicated her life to portraying Indigenous stories with authenticity and grace. Tantoo Cardinal's illustrious career has paved the way for countless Indigenous actors and brought Indigenous narratives to the forefront of Canadian cinema. Tantoo Cardinal, a trailblazer in Indigenous cinema. Tantoo Cardinal, born on July 20, 1950, in Fort McMurray, Alberta, is a Canadian actress of Cree and Métis heritage. Raised in the rural town of Anzac, she was deeply influenced by her grandmother, who taught her the Cree language and traditional ways of life. Cardinal's upbringing instilled in her a strong sense of cultural identity, which she carried into her acting career. Cardinal's acting career spans over 4 decades, with more than 120 film, television, and theater credits. She gained prominence with roles in films like Dances with Wolves, 1990, Black Robe, 1991, and Smoke Signals, 1998. Her performances have been lauded for bringing depth and authenticity to Indigenous characters. In recognition of her contributions to the arts, Cardinal was appointed a member of the Order of Canada in 2009. She has also been a vocal advocate for Indigenous rights and representation in media, using her platform to challenge stereotypes and promote Indigenous storytelling. Cardinal's impact extends beyond the screen. She co-founded the Saskatchewan Native Theatre Company, providing opportunities for Indigenous youth to engage in the performing arts. Her dedication to nurturing Indigenous talent has left an indelible mark on Canadian theatre and film. Acting is a way to tell our stories, to share our truths, and to heal. Tantoo Cardinal. As we celebrate Tantoo Cardinal's contributions to Indigenous storytelling, we now turn to a figure whose activism and artistry have left a profound impact on both the political and cultural landscapes. Russell Means was not only a prominent activist, but also a compelling actor who used his voice to advocate for Indigenous rights. Russell Means, activist and actor. Russell Means, born on November 10, 1939, in Porcupine, South Dakota, was an Oglala Lakota activist, actor, and writer. He became a prominent figure in the American Indian movement, during the 1970s, advocating for Indigenous rights and sovereignty. Means was known for his charismatic leadership and powerful oratory skills. In 1973, Means was a key leader in the occupation of Wounded Knee, a 71-day standoff between AM activists and federal authorities. The event drew national attention to the struggles of Indigenous peoples in the United States. Means continued his activism throughout his life, addressing issues such as treaty rights, education, and cultural preservation. Transitioning into acting in the 1990s, Means brought Indigenous stories to mainstream audiences. He appeared in films like The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, where he portrayed Chingachgook, and provided the voice for Chief Powhatan in Disney's Pocahontas, 1995. His performances were praised for their authenticity and emotional depth. Means passed away in 2012, but his legacy as a passionate advocate and talented actor endures. His life's work continues to inspire Indigenous activists and artists striving for representation and justice. I don't want to be remembered as a man who stood for nothing. Russell Means, From the powerful activism of Russell Means, our journey continues to explore the lives of other influential Native American figures who have shaped the cultural and artistic landscapes through their dedication and talent. J. Silverheels, Breaking Barriers. As Tonto-born Harold J. Smith on May 26, 1912, in 6 Nations of the Grand River, Ontario, Canada, J. Silverheels was a Mohawk actor and athlete. Before his acting career, he was a renowned lacrosse player, earning the nickname Silver Heels for his speed on the field. His athletic prowess led him to Hollywood, where he began working as a stuntman and extra in the late 1930s. Silverheels' big break came in 1949 when he was cast as Tonto in the television series The Lone Ranger, becoming the first Indigenous actor to play a Native American character in a leading role on TV. Silverheels portrayed Tonto until 1957, appearing in over 220 episodes. While the character was often criticized for being a sidekick, Silverheels brought dignity and strength to the role, challenging stereotypes of Native Americans in media. Despite being typecast, he continued to act in films and television, including appearances in The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing and True Grit. He also used his platform to advocate for Indigenous representation in Hollywood. In 1966, Silverheels co-founded the Indian Actors Workshop in Los Angeles, providing training and opportunities for Native American actors. He was also a poet and a harness racing enthusiast, breeding and racing horses in his spare time. Silverheels suffered a stroke in 1976 and passed away on March 5, 1980, at the age of 67. His ashes were returned to the 6 Nations Reserve, and his legacy as a trailblazer for Indigenous actors endures. My name is Tonto. I hail from Toronto and I speak Esperanto. J. Silverheels, in a 1969 comedy sketch on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. From the pioneering efforts of J. Silverheels, we move to another iconic figure who brought authenticity and depth to Native American characters on screen. Will Sampson's towering presence and commitment to his heritage left an indelible mark on Hollywood. Will Sampson, the gentle giant of cinema. Will Sampson, born on September 27, 1933 in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, was a full-blooded Muskogee Creek Nation member. Standing at 6 feet 5 inches, his imposing stature was matched by his talent and dedication. Before acting, Sampson was a successful painter and a rodeo performer, showcasing his versatility and deep connection to his culture. Sampson's acting debut came in 1975 with the role of Chief Bromden in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. His silent yet powerful performance captivated audiences and critics alike. He continued to portray Native American characters with authenticity in films like The Outlaw Josie Wales, The White Buffalo, and Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. Beyond acting, Sampson was a passionate advocate for Native American representation in the arts. In 1982, he founded the American Indian Registry for the Performing Arts, aiming to support and promote Indigenous talent in Hollywood. His commitment to his community extended to his artwork, which often depicted scenes from Native American life. Sampson passed away on June 3, 1987, due to complications from heart and lung transplant surgery. His legacy as an actor, artist, and advocate continues to inspire generations of Indigenous performers. I wanted to show that Indians could be anything they wanted to be. Will Sampson. As we reflect on Will Sampson's impactful career, we turn our attention to a contemporary actress who has brought Native American stories to the forefront of animation and film. Irene Bedard's voice and presence have resonated with audiences worldwide. Irene Bedard, giving voice to Indigenous stories. Irene Bedard, born on July 22, 1967, in Anchorage, Alaska, is of Inupiat and French-Canadian Cree, Métis heritage. An enrolled member of the native village of Koyuk, Bedard pursued her passion for acting at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. Her breakthrough role came in 1994 as Mary Crow Dog in Lakota Woman, Siege at Wounded Knee, earning her a Golden Globe nomination. In 1995, Bedard became widely recognized as the speaking voice of the titular character in Disney's animated film Pocahontas. Her portrayal brought a sense of authenticity and depth to the character, resonating with audiences globally. She reprised the role in the sequel and made a cameo in Ralph Breaks the Internet in 2018. Bedard continued to take on roles that highlighted Indigenous experiences, including Susie Song in Smoke Signals, 1998, and appearances in television series like Into the West and FBI, Most Wanted. Her performances have consistently brought attention to Native American stories and issues. Beyond her acting career, Bedard is an advocate for Indigenous rights and environmental causes. She has participated in various initiatives to support Native communities and raise awareness about their struggles. Despite facing personal challenges, Bedard remains a prominent figure in promoting Indigenous representation in media. I want to tell stories that reflect the strength and beauty of our people. Irene Bedard. These 20 legends didn't just leave behind performances, they left behind legacies. In a time when Native voices were ignored, they spoke out. When roles were few, they created their own, and when history tried to forget them, they etched their names in stone. From Jim Thorpe's Olympic triumphs to Irene Bedard's storytelling power, these stars proved that Native excellence isn't a trend, it's tradition. Their paths made way for future generations, reminding the world that Native American talent isn't just part of Hollywood history, it is history. And it's still being written. One voice, one vision, one story at a time.